Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give it just a couple of seconds to let people pop on, and then we will get started today on CMT's Candid Conversation with Commuters. Good afternoon. On behalf of Citizens for Modern Transit, we'd like to welcome you to our conversation today with Metro Transit to discuss the Secure Platform Plan project, the new fare collection program, service levels, and more updates we know riders in the St. Louis region want to hear about. First, I want to thank all the CMT board members who have joined us this morning. I'd also like to thank our platinum sponsors, AARP in St. Louis, Bi-State Development, HNTB, and the St. Clair County Transit District. Again, thank you to these and all of our sponsors. We would not be able to provide these updates without your support. Thank you. We are hearing every day from our members and riders with questions about this system, especially now as riders know changes are coming, but they may not be aware of exactly what those changes are. It's our goal today to provide an opportunities for these riders, employers, and operators to have an open dialogue with the transit agency to get questions answered. It's really imperative from CMT's perspective that we all work together to ensure access to everyone. So today I'd like to welcome Kevin Scott, the Executive VP of Public Affairs and Security for Metro Transit. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Good morning.
Ron Forrest, Executive VP and Chief Operating Officer for Metro Transit. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you, Kim.
And Tom Curran, Executive VP of Administration at Bi-State Development. Today, we're hoping to get answers to questions on service, completion of the Secure Platform Plan, otherwise to many riders known as the gating system, implementation of the new fare system, how to get a ride-on card, and any other inquiries they may have tied to public transit. As the Regional Transit or Advocacy Organization, we think it's really important to have a transparent conversation on where we are and what's to be expected over the next 6 months. We have received numerous questions already from riders over the last several weeks, but if anyone on today's call has a question, please place it in the chat box or in the Q&A tab, and I will get to them as quickly as possible. Our goal is to get as many questions answered this afternoon as we can. If there are questions that we don't have answers to, we will continue to track those down, and we will provide that information on the follow-up blog on the CMT website after this event. Also, this event is being recorded, so if you have peers, other transit riders you want to share this information with, please feel free to check our website later this afternoon, and there will be information for you to share as well. So, welcome to all of our panelists. Let's take a moment and have each of our panelists provide a quick introduction on who they are, their role within the agency, and then we're going to turn to all of these questions. So, welcome all of you, and let's start with Kevin, if you want to jump in first this morning, Kevin.
Sure. Again, thank you for having me. My name is Kevin Scott, and I am the Executive Vice President overseeing all of the security operation and all of the communication or public affairs operation for Bi-State Development. So the Director of Security and the Director of Public Affairs both report to me. As well as those two primary functions, I was asked several years ago by our leadership to lead the Secure Platform Plan, which was the infrastructure enhancement that we're going to talk about today to the 38 existing MetroLink platforms in conjunction with coordinating with the Transit District in St. Clair County and their contractor at the new Mid-America Airport site. So that's what I do to pass my time.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. All right, Ron, welcome to this panel discussion. Would you like to do a quick introduction this morning?
Yeah, sure. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Again, like Kim said, I'm Ron Forrest. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Metro Transit. I am the executive in charge of the service that you see out there on the streets: bus, light rail, microtransit, and caller ride. I'd also like to, thank Kim and Citizens for Modern Transit for bringing us together today. Events like these are incredibly important for us to get information and have an opportunity to hear directly from you all who use our system every day. That's valuable information for us. We know that you guys are our best source of feedback, and those conversations help shape how we improve Metro Transit. Our mission is really simple. We want to provide safe, reliable, accessible public transit service that connects people to the world around them. And this is why we're making significant investments in things like improving safety and modernizing our fare system. Uh, we want to enhance the customer experience, and we want to strengthen service reliability. And look, I'll be the first to admit that we have some way to go, but we have made some meaningful progress. So again, today is about listening as much as it is about sharing information. I'm interested in hearing your questions, your ideas, and even your concerns. And again, thank you all for taking the time to be here and for choosing Metro Transit.
Thank you, Ron, and welcome. All right, now let's turn to Tom Curran. Tom, if you want to take a moment and introduce yourself and tell us what areas that you're focusing on.
Sure. Thank you, Kim. Again, Tom Curran. I'm Executive Vice President of Administration here at Bi-State. Typically, I oversee procurement and IT and sort of the internal functions of the agency. But a few years ago, I was asked by our CEO to take on the fare collection project. We've been working on this for about 3 years. We're very excited to be getting close to the finish line with some of our new products. And so I'm happy to share some information today about what's been achieved, what people can expect in the future. Thank you.
Great. So welcome everyone, and let's jump right into all these questions that we've received to date. And as a reminder, anyone who's joining us today, if you have additional questions, please place those in the chat box or the Q&A. So let's start from broad perspective. We've been hearing a lot about the secure platform plan coming to completion. So Kevin, I think this one's probably for you. What exactly are we looking at when we're talking about the secure platform plan, and what, as riders in the community, what should they be expecting in the very near future?
Sure. So, excuse me. So what the enhancement included from the secured platform standpoint was 38 existing platforms on the MetroLink alignment, a new platform, again, that has been constructed in St. Clair County at Mid-America Airport. So the scope of the project relative to the secured platform plan is the gating systems that have been put in place, the fencing enhancements on those properties and along the alignment, and most notably, I should say, an extraordinary improvement in our overall closed circuit television posture. When we talk about daily security and security philosophy and all of the things that complement the men and women that work along the alignment relative to security, those technologies or those hardscape changes that we make are known as security force multipliers. And if you made a list of all of those security force multipliers, closed circuit television would be at the top of the list. So when we started this project, we had around 800 cameras system-wide. Today, we're sitting at around 2,000 as we close out the secure platform plan. All of those feeds from the security cameras are fed into a real-time camera center that was constructed at the beginning of the project that operates 24/7 for real-time viewing. So not only do we have 24-hour real-time viewing of the properties and the platforms, but we also now have the capacity to live feed in or live stream into all of our buses and our trains as well from the same camera center. So all of these things work in a layered complementary fashion. That project is substantially complete, and we are welcoming now the influx of the new fare hardware, the ticket vending machines, and the validation systems at each of those locations, and look forward to making those gates work on an autonomous fashion through the new validation system. As you're aware, As we've traversed through this project, we thought it was very important to establish a Genesis or a beta test component, which actually included 11 platforms. The first 4 platforms were completed in Illinois, and then 7 additional platforms in Missouri that we've been operating on an interim basis to check functionality, customer engagement, how the system works from a security standpoint, how the gates will perform in the elements, the weather. All of those types of things are very, very important. And so now we are, as Tom suggested, we are moving out of that interim phase, and we will be able to, through a phasal approach, a 3-phased approach, feed in or integrate in the new FAIR technology into the overall infrastructure enhancements.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. So the 3-phased approach begins July 6th.
Yeah, that is correct. So I've made some modifications to this. And so we are focused on a phasal approach to integration because we have to still maintain staffing and customer engagement at those new locations. It would be almost impossible to just vacate those locations and turn it over to autonomous operation. There are so many operational questions and or FAIR questions that we were going to get. And so we have to have a period to cultivate the customer base and make sure that the system operates. So phase 1 will initiate on June the 6th.
July 6th.
I'm sorry, July 6th.
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're correct. July 6th. And then I have made a modification to phase 2 to allow for a 3-week interval. And so that will initiate on July 27th.
Okay.
So
Great.
July 6th and July 27th. And at the initiation of phase 2, we will have achieved FAIR integration at the highest level of FAIR purchasing locations. So we've about 91% of our overall FAIR purchasing locations. And then phase 3 is set for August the 17th, tentatively, but we may have to make some adjustments to that, but we're hoping that we do not. But we are moving very aggressively in this overall integration.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. So let's pivot from the gating and CCTV to the new FAIR system. So there's lots of questions out there about the new FAIR system. So let's start with the basics. Is this Tom or Ron? When will we see the new TVMs open and the new validators? When will that go live?
So as Kevin stated, it will be in 3 phases. So the first phase will go live on Monday, this coming Monday, July 6th. So this is a huge step for us. There'll be 13 stations in each phase. And by going live, what we mean is that the gates, many of which in phase 1 have already been locked, we will start using the new TVMs and the validators so that folks can buy their products and start tapping to unlock the gates themselves. Even though, as Kevin said, for a 3-week period, we will have guards and we will have ambassadors on site to help people through this transition. We know it's a big change, but we're excited to be at this point. The 13 stations in phase 1 are essentially the 11 stations that were in the initial SPP program, plus 2 more. So I just want to mention which ones those are so people know. So in phase 1 will be East Riverfront, North Hanley, Central West End, Civic Center, Vortex, Grand, Union Station, Forest Park, Del Mar, and then in Illinois, Emerson Park, JJK, Washington Park, and College. As Kevin had said earlier, just this first phase, last year, those stations sold 58% of our tickets. So just that first phase represents a huge amount of ticket sales based on past history. We've added East Riverfront and North Hanley as the top into the top mix, including the 13 stations in total. So the 11 we had plus North Hanley and East Riverfront. And as Kevin mentioned, by the time we get to phase 2, which is just 3 weeks from Monday, we'll have stations, basically 26 stations that produce more than 91% of the ticket sales last year. So we want people to know that we're with them. that we will still have guards in place to assist with issues that may arise, and also ambassadors, which would be volunteers from our own staff to help people understand how the new system works.
Okay, so we're getting lots of questions, Tom, when we talk about fairs. Let's get in the weeds. So what fairs have been eliminated and what new fair medium have been added?
So what we're trying to do is to maximize flexibility of how people can buy tickets, but most of the core products haven't changed that much. The main fair change is that the weekly pass and the monthly passes that we've traditionally sold are now going to be known as a 7-day and a 30-day pass. So they're not going to be tied to a specific time frame. So that's probably the biggest change for our customers. For example, you'll no longer be purchasing a July monthly pass. You're going to be purchasing a 30-day pass on a ride-on card. And that 30 days will depend on when the user taps that for the first time. So we won't be in a situation anymore where it's you're halfway through the month and somebody wants a monthly pass with the issues of the value being tied to a specific time period. We think this will be a lot more flexible, so people can purchase those ride-on smart cards for the 30-day or weekly passes, and they can also reload those cards whenever they want to with either additional weekly or monthly passes or individual products. So that is the biggest change in the system. So our normal fare
So
ticket,
you're not, just to clarify, no longer tied to the calendar. So no longer a January pass. So just say Joe buys a pass on June 15th. He can potentially use that for 30 days the moment he taps it the first time. He has 30 days from that time frame. Is that how we're working?
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And so it will not
Okay.
matter if you purchase a 30-day pass on the first day of the month or in the middle of the month or even towards the end, because your 30 days will be from the point in time when you use it. So we won't be stuck with like having a bunch of fare products that have basically timed out in the future. Other things I want to mention is the normal fare tickets, including the one ride and the 2-hour pass and 1-day passes, will also be available, obviously, from the new TVMs. But those tickets have been updated and they're going to look a little bit different. So the one ride tickets will have a QR code that's going to be read by the optical scanner in the middle of the validators. And then anything beyond a one ride, so a 2-hour or a 1-day pass, is going to be on a ticket that's an RFID product that will also be tapped on the new validators. And again, those new TVMs will begin selling all these fare products on Monday, July 6th. Passenger Revenue is actually selling some of those products now. So if somebody wanted to purchase a product, or some of our partner agencies are already receiving the new products. So in the next few days, we'll be finishing up the installation and testing of the TVMs. And then Monday is the big day. For customers that use digital tickets from the Transit app or the Ride-On app, if you're using tickets from your phone, really nothing much has changed. So you'll still be able to use those tickets, but you'll be validating them yourself on the validator instead of showing them to the guards.
Okay. So to get a ride-on pass, they're available at the TVMs.
Yeah.
Are there any retail establishments, Schnucks was a vendor. Are they still a vendor for these new products?
So currently, Schnucks has not agreed to continue selling our Metro Fare products, and so we're looking to partner with other local grocery stores. So there are 2 stores where you can go and buy them that are outside of the other release products. So in other words, you can buy a product on your phone. You can go to our passenger revenue office and purchase a product. But most people are going to be buying their products, their smart cards and their tickets and passes at a TVM. The only stores currently that we are still under contract with to sell the new fare media is Kings Highway and Page Currency, which is at 1315 Kings Highway, and Veterans Currency Exchange at 900 North Grant. But we realize that that's very limited compared to the Schnucks apparatus that we had in place before. So we are looking to partner with other retailers here because Schnucks has not expressed an interest in continuing that relationship.
Okay, great. Now, just for clarification purposes, when we're talking about the TVMs and these new passes, Does that mean they will be for sale only at the first 13 stations that open on July 6th for that time frame? Or will the TV help with so is the sale of those passes phased in as well?
Yes, the current plan is that we will turn on each segment individually. So if you wanted, for example, if you typically go to another station to start your ride and you don't want to wait the 3 weeks, we would ask that you visit one of the 13 opening stations, which are our busiest stations for the most part, to purchase your ride on card early.
Okay. So we did have a question, many of our ADA riders have cards issued from Metro Transit, the red gateway cards. Those don't expire till next year. Are those still valid on the system? What does that look like, and how do they eventually transition to the new ADA cards?
So all of our gateway card holders, and that includes a reduced fare in the ADA paratransit, customers should go to our next gen website, and I can give you that address in a second, and fill out the contact form that's provided. Once the customer has completed the form, then somebody from the TAC will contact the customer with the next steps. There's no need to immediately go to the Transit Assistance Center at this time. We're really encouraging our customers to complete the form and allow the TAC, the Transit Assistance Center, to reach out to our customers accordingly. The TAC representative can also discuss any concerns with the users. And then on the Illinois side, I also wanted to point out that if you have a senior pass or benefit access pass from St. Clair County, that those also must be changed. They're handling it a little bit differently. So St. Clair County Transit District has notified its senior pass and benefit access pass customers that they need to upgrade their existing pass so that they're on our new smart card pass system. And St. Clair County has already pre-prepared all of the replacement passes. So anyone with a previous senior pass or benefit access pass should go to the Belleville Metrolink station. There's a building there where their office is, and they can receive their new pass on Tuesdays or Thursdays between 9 and 12 noon. And so for more information, and I'll try to put this in the chat, you can contact St. Clair County Transit District at 618-628-8090, or you can send them an email at info@scctv.org. Like I said, I'll try to put those numbers in the chat right now.
Okay, but anyone holding an ADA Gateway Pass, Tom, that expires in 2027, those are still valid till 2027?
They will need to get the upgrade because the existing passes are not integrated with the system. So that's why we're asking for everybody to please take the time to contact us so that you could trade in your pass for a new one. Same thing as St. Clair County, just a different process.
Okay. So the next question, this one, I don't know, Kevin, this one may be for you or for Tom. What is a rider to do during phase one at those 13 stations once everything is fully up and running, if their fare or the security gate itself will not let them enter? So their fare isn't working and they can't get through the gates to the platform, and the security guards are no longer stationed there. What would an individual do?
Okay, so that's a great question. I do want to preface this by saying that our security teams that have been out there covering SPP since the integration of the first 11 platforms, those, when we move from phase to phase, that's the only team that's going to move. There'll still be security influence in those gates. So obviously if security is there, that's who you'd want to contact. If there's no security at the gate, you simply push the PAT, the public assist telephone, and you're in instant communication with our real-time camera center, and we can address the situation almost instantly there. The camera center is very astute to the type of fare that is going to be out there, what this process is going to be. And also for your listeners and your viewers, Kim, we have the ability to control, open and close those gates from that room to completely override the system. So we will, as effectively as we can, address those anomalies.
Okay, Okay, great. So there's lots of questions about this. And Ron, we have other questions as well, but I know that this is top of mind for many people. One question is, an employer offers a monthly pass for employees. With the change to a 30-day pass, what does that look like for those who are receiving subsidized passes from their employers, Tom?
So passenger revenue has worked with our partner agencies to provide the new fare media to them. So if somebody has, for example, either a gateway card or some discounted pass from their employer, those will need to be replaced so that they're on the new system. The new system is called the Ride-On Smart Cards, and so everybody really needs to have an updated card in order to use that. If you have questions about this, you can also go to the metrostlouis.org/nextgenfare. That is sort of our nexus for all questions related to the transition. But everybody will have to be using a new fare product. So all of those partner agencies are being provided with the updated fare products for their agency. And that transition started a few weeks ago on June 15th. So there are a lot of people that are already on the system that you'll see using the new fare products.
Okay.
So the link for the information is in the chat.
Okay. And one very specific question, Tom. We know we have a lot of universities who participate in the semester pass program. How does that work for the fare system? And will the new semester passes have a QR code? Will they still need to show their staff ID? What does that look like?
So you would only need to show your staff ID if you utilized a fare product for which there is an entitlement or reduction. But there will be a brand new university pass that will be no longer so specific to the individual institutions. So instead of having a SWIC pass and a SLU pass and a WashU pass, Passenger Revenue has created a new university pass. It's universal. It does have the IDs of all those participating institutions at the bottom of the card, but those will all be replaced so that people are using a new university pass product that's time for either their semester or the appropriate amount of time for an employee at one of those institutions. So again, the underlying message to all this is everything will need to be replaced and there will be a new fare product for all these situations.
Okay, great. So let's talk fare checking. We have a question, Kevin. What will fare checking look like? Will security have mobile validators on the system? What will that look like with the new system in place?
Sure. So obviously with the philosophy that we're moving forward with relative to the gating system, a lot of the fare validation will occur there. We are going to enhance our visibility and fluidity of security on the system post the overall integration for fare checking as well and ticket validation. So just to give you an example of how security works, we have around 7,100 hours of security that we run per week. We have 2,000 hours a week currently dedicated to the SPP gates. Once we have the integration done, there are certain locations that we will still have to maintain staffing. Emerson Park certainly is one of those with the grade crossing in close proximity to the platform. There are others, I can give you examples, but there's going to be an influx of enhanced security on the Metrolink system as well as our transit centers and our other locations. And so we will continue to do onboard fare checking. We're not going to acquiesce from that. But certainly the main crux or the main point of fare engagement will be at those gates.
Okay, great. So we slowly want to talk about Metrolink here. We have many bus runners that we represent and who are joining us today. So what does the new fare system on the buses look like? Any changes from what they're currently seeing with the ride-on cards? And what do riders need to know?
So I'll take that question, but Ron, if you want to jump in and add anything, that's great. So if you are purchasing a ride-on card from the TVMs or from another portal or agency, that will be tapped on the validator on the Metrobus, just as you do for Metrolink. So there is really no immediate change in the buses. If you are a cash paying customer, you'll continue to pay your cash fare at the fare box. And if you have an e-ticket, or now starting next week, the tickets that are produced by the TVMs and also available from passenger revenue and other sources, then you will simply tap them on the validator as you enter the bus, just as you would tap those same fare products at the validator at the Metrolink. So for the bus riders, there's not a big change. Next year, we are going to be getting new fare for bus. So that will be a change for users in terms of look and appearance. We're going to have a more modern fare box. All of our equipment has really outlived its useful life. So it's very necessary for us to replace all of our fare collection equipment just due to age and wear and tear. So a lot of these things would be happening, whether the SPP program was happening or not. But we're really trying to tie all this together as best we can.
Right. So another question about the technology side of this. And so Tom, I guess this goes right back to you. You know, people are asking, is the Ride On app obsolete? Is it the transit app where they should be going to purchase fare? And also there's been some conversation about if you get a Ride On card, then you need to register it with metrostlouis.org #mytickets. So can you clarify what seems to be a little bit of a gray area on which app riders should be using to make this as easy as possible to get their updated tickets?
Sure. So although there is a by state specific Metro Ride On app, the transit app exists nationwide and I believe even internationally. And most people that have used that, there's not a reason at this point in time, I think, to make a switch. I think people that are comfortable using the transit app should continue to do so. The transit app can be a little bit easier to use in terms of trip planning. So if you are using the transit app, perfectly fine to keep doing that. We are not going to do anything to take away the transit app or to try to force people onto our locally branded Ride On app. So really, either of those should work. In terms of the question about tying your passes or your 30-day or registering your smart card on the system, the value in doing that is if you lose your smart card, your new Ride On card, and you're not registered in the system, and we don't really know who owns those cards. And so we can't turn them off if you lose it, and we can't provide you a replacement smart card if we don't know who you are. So that's the main advantage why people would may want to register their smart card. You do not have to do that to use a smart card at all. The advantage is, again, is if it's lost, we can turn that card off and we can replace it for you. But I've been using smart cards throughout this testing period that I purchased just at TVMs anonymously. They work perfectly fine. So if you're not worried about losing your card, or some people just don't care to share information, and we understand that. Some people are very much more attuned to privacy. And so you do not have to register a smart card to use that. I want to make sure that that's clear. Anybody can buy a Ride On card ticket anonymously from a TVM, and you're free to use it. You do not have to register your card. That's just a convenience for replacing the card in case you lose it.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Ron, are you ready? There's questions about service and frequency of service. Will Metro Transit consider increasing service on the high ridership bus routes like the Grand Line? Also, will you be looking at reinstating service on routes that were cut during the pandemic?
Yeah, well, to the first one, absolutely. You know, we want to provide more frequent service, but we want to do that where the demand is highest. Now, currently, our biggest challenge is workforce availability. And so, you know, until we have enough operators to consistently deliver our existing service, we're not going to be able to expand service. Our focus right now is reliability while we're building up our workforce. And so, but as we continue to hire and retain operators, increasing frequency on our busiest routes, that remains our top priority. Uh, the second part, to increasing our, and also we are working with our partners in HR to, you know, increase the volume of operators we're training. We're lowering the barriers to the recruiting and hiring process. So we're making it easier to go through that process and actually get a training date. We're increasing our class sizes. We're increasing our frequency of operator training. So instead of training operators every month and a half to 2 months, we're actually going to be starting next month, increasing that to every month. So we're doing a lot of work in that regard. But you know, the second part of the solution, of course, is you know, keeping great employees. We want to keep the people that we actually recruit and hire. So we've made significant improvements to our onboarding. We've made improvements to our training. We're, you know, doing very intentional about supporting our operators. We're expanding mentorship opportunities. We are communicating directly with our frontline workforce, and we are hearing their feedback. And not only are we hearing it, but we are doing something about it. And so it's important for us to do those things because that's how we start to improve the culture around here and increase morale, which you know, impacts you know, significantly impacts our ability to retain employees. We're also reviewing our workplace policies. We're improving our schedules as much as possible, and we're continuing to work with our labor partners because we really want people to think of this as a place where they can build their career. So increasing our workforce, retaining our workforce, making sure that the service that we've committed to delivering is our top priority, and then looking to expand service in terms of frequency on high corridor routes. Now, to the second part of your question, yes, we are putting back some service. So in the November service change, we will be returning the 71 to North County. Okay. And what that results in is expanded caller ride service to those North County areas that no longer have it. So people should, our customers should see that 71 is going to be on a new and improved route, but it's going to be in the area that it served before. It's just going to be operating in a more impactful way. And again, the caller ride service is going to increase out there.
So we did have several comments, Ron, about buses running behind schedule or completely not showing up, issues with on-time performance. Specifically, we heard about the Grand Line, even though that's probably your highest frequency bus route, that there are issues with reliability and that line. So how short of operators is Metro on your team right now? I know during COVID we were down over 200 operators. Is there a shortfall now within the team with the number of operators? Is that the current issue on the table?
Yep, that's exactly it. Staffing continues to affect our ability to provide the level of service that we've been committing to for the last couple of years. And in terms of numbers, our current schedule requires approximately 619 full-time operators and 63 part-time operators each day to deliver what we have committed to. As of last week, we have mostly filled our full-time operator positions. We're at 615, and we're about a third of the way from the part-time operators. We have about 20 part-time operators, and so that gap means that we sometimes don't have enough operators to cover every scheduled trip, particularly when employees are absent due to illness or vacation or some other reason. But look, we continue to aggressively recruit, train. We've made meaningful progress over the past year, so our focus remains on improving that reliability. We are very intentional. We're doing everything that we can to build up our workforce. And once we do that, then our customers will see very meaningful improvements to our service delivery.
Okay, great. So when you talk about expanding the 70 or bringing back a new version of the number 71 and expanded call ride run, is that also dependent on your operator numbers, or do you already have budgeted operators for that expansion in November?
Well, we're going to use our existing budgeted numbers. We expect that we'll be able to incorporate that into our service plan in November with what we have. And hopefully, our goal is by increasing our training classes and our training volume that we'll meet that goal. We'll have close to those 63 part-time operators that we need. That's the goal, but we are definitely going to put that 71 back out there. We continue to do the same thing on the caller ride side. We know that we're going to need more operators. Our goal is to get 200 operators on the caller ride side and 20 or so part-time operators on the caller ride side. We're going to need all of that in order to make sure that we're able to cover all the service that we're committed to.
Okay, great. Thank you. So going back to security, we had quite a few comments about how can Metro crack down on the illegal smoking on the system, both cigarettes and other items. Kevin, you want to weigh in on that? We hear that a lot from our Metro monitors as well. Those are our volunteer, we like to say them, secret writers who are writing the system and reporting in on the status of the system, safety and security, cleanliness, and all of that. But that's one of the top things we hear from them as well. So any comment, Kevin, on that?
No, I mean, we've had a change in our dynamic, over the last few years. We used to deal with a lot of significant issues. We've mitigated a lot of those relative to criminal occurrences. A lot of that is attributed to the technologies we put in place, obviously the camera center that we're operating. So that's really been our focus, and we are going to continue to increase our visibility and fluidity on the system to try to attack some of that nuisance behavior. We saw a real uptick in marijuana use as the marijuana was legalized here in Missouri. We saw that really proliferate after that. And so it's just having people on the system and engaging, encouraging the customer base to notify public safety if you see something so that we can respond. Through our security rotations, we are going to try to maintain an expeditious response. So have some elements on security at the platforms as trains move into the platforms. There's a lot of creative things that we can do to attack that nuisance behavior. We know that that's always going to be here. We try to mitigate as much of it as we can. It is impactful to the quality of the product. So it remains a priority for us through not only our security teams, but also our law enforcement teams as well.
And there was a question about law enforcement, Kevin. Someone sent us a statement, or a question, why am I seeing less police officers on the system?
Well, you're not seeing less police officers in St. Clair County and or St. Louis County. We continue to struggle with police staffing, obviously, within the city of St. Louis. That's been very publicly debated or noted through our attempts to acquire additional services through the City of St. Louis Sheriff's Department to kind of complement that. But the county police department, both county law enforcement agencies, we receive their monthly reports on their activities, and there hasn't been an acquiescing of overall visibility on the trains from their daily deployments. Now, a couple of years ago, we did make some adjustments to the St. Louis County contract. It was not certainly something that we wanted, but they also adjusted staffing to a lower level to accommodate broader need for police out in the community relative to 911 and routine patrol response. And so, we're in a situation at Metro where we operate under a federal compact that specifies that our law enforcement activities have to be contracted. And so we have to work with those agencies, and they all have the ability to make those adjustments relative to manpower when they need to. And so, it's something that we'll always have to kind of maneuver through.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. Tom, going back to fair technology and the continuing evolution of fair technology, we've had several questions about the usage of your own credit card to tap and go. And, we see that in other cities across the country. Is that something that Metro is considering? Where is that as a part of this fair change?
Yes, Kim, we're actively pursuing that. We have already requested that next level of payment options from Masabi, which is known as open loop payments or tap and pay, uh, be brought to us as soon as possible. So this is going to allow riders to simply tap their debit or credit card on a validator, and they'll pay for the ride without having any fare product at all. People that travel to other cities are probably accustomed to this. I think MARTA was in Atlanta was one of the recent ads to the transit systems that allow this, and people seem to really love it. So the validators that Metro has already installed on our Metro buses and at our light rail stations, they already have the capability to accept the credit and debit card payments directly. So we do not have to change any hardware to go to that open loop payment system, but it does require a lot of work in the back office, the operating system of the brains of the outfit. So in other words, the Masabi back office. And we're expecting that open loop tap and pay will be available in early 2027. So we're probably 6 months or so out from that next step in the evolution. If people start to adapt to that, will probably mean that we won't have as much pressure on ticket vending machines as we had in the past, in the same way that they are already being impacted in terms of sales somewhat by the ability to buy tickets on your phone. So we're going to keep expanding the options. But if you could wait about 6 months, we will be to that phase where I think we'll go live with credit card payments too.
Okay, thank you, Tom. So we have had some questions, and you've touched on it a little bit. I know that the senior pass in St. Clair County, they have expanded times when you can go to the Belleville Transit Center and get that senior pass. We've had questions from a couple of seniors who have senior reduced fare on the Missouri side, and they're under the impression they have to go to the North County Transit Access Center. Is that true? Will there be other options for people who have senior passes who don't necessarily ride Metrolink but use them on the bus system? How will they get their new senior ride-on card?
Yeah, so the information that I posted in the chat previously is the same information for this, which is to go to the website. Basically, if somebody has the ability to go to the website and fill out the form on the Next Gen website that's already been posted, and that will get them in the process to get their new senior pass, hopefully without having to go anywhere. If they can accomplish all that by completing the form and have the pass sent to them, we don't expect that everybody's going to be able to go to, say, the North County Transit Center, which is where the new Transit Assistance Center has been located, to do that. So if people can just go to the website, that's great. If they cannot go to the website for some reason, they don't have computer access, if you could call our customer service folks, I think that would be also helpful. I'll try to put that number in the chat. If there are questions, you can also send them to my concerns at bystatedev.org, as well as the metrostlouis.org/nextgenfare. And I will repost that with the my concerns link in the chat right now.
Great. And it looks like Ron placed some information as well, Ron, in the chat. Customers can contact the Transit Access Center via telephone as well, 314-982-1510. So just to make sure, if you're listening in and you can't see the chat, it's 314-982-1510, or they can email adaservices@metrostlouis.org. Thank you, Ron, for that. So another question we had with regards to the new number 71, Ron. So when will that route map be available for people to have a look at what that service will look like?
Well, we always, it'll be 2 weeks before the service change. So
Okay.
we'll be talking about it. We will identify for our customers what changes are coming. and that'll be a
Okay,
part of
so
the package.
if you're talking about November service change, it would be late October, early November for that.
Correct.
Okay, great. So there is another question about security, Kevin. How will Metro expand its security to the bus system? What does that look like?
Sure. So we made a significant organizational change. It's probably been 6 months where we are now using the contractor for all of our security needs. So we used to house our own and security internal team. They were licensed as security officers the same way the contractor is. And so they were fulfilling around 1,496 hours a week, mostly focused on buses, transit centers, bus routes, high priority bus routes, things like that. So we haven't acquiesced from that under this new structure relative to security movements. Once we free up the SPP gates, I'm going to increase the hours. It focuses on our bus patrols, some of our facilities to 2,000 hours. So we'll still have that component. We're going to increase it a little bit. So right now we're at 4,000 hours on Metro Link just because of the size of the alignment. We're at 2,000. We're going to be at 2,000 within the bus realm, the bus mode. But we're going to be able to do that and add additional fluidity and visibility and engagement through the release of having to staff the SPP gates and moving to a more autonomous operation. So not adding hours to the contract, just moving the resources around.
So at the end of August, when when all three phases have been open, you're saying that you're going to shift some of these allied guards, some of their hours to the bus system?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to
So
clarify.
we'll go from about 1,496 hours a week to around 2,000 hours a week. And that will help us cover some of the locations where we had to pull security relatively early within our tenure. Just to give you a little bit of an historical perspective, prior to 2020, the contracted security was done through Securitas, and it was at around 7,400 hours a week. So everything in contract security is hourly per week. When Metro made those changes to the contract early on, there was a reduction in security hours in that contract, which basically took the contract down to 3,700 hours. And that was when Metro hired G4S Solutions. G4S was purchased by Allied. We have increased that, knowing that that was too short. Our leadership team, once we took over, have slowly increased those security hours back to that 7,400 hour margin. Okay, through the SPP project, we added some additional hours through SPP in order to have the gate staffing. We've made modifications relative to the internal operation for more efficiency, for the mitigation of overall liability to the agency. So we're going to still be at around 7,400 hours, and that's where we were 5 or 6 years ago. And so that's going to offer a lot more flexibility to increase that fluidity, presence, and visibility at a number of these locations. And that's what we're hoping to do.
Great. Thank you. Question, Tom, I think this goes to you. Has there been an effort to communicate with Metro riders that have significant mobility issues and are unable to push the buttons? If they haven't ridden the Metrolink and try and use one next week, are they going to have issues?
So our ADA team did have a number of folks in representing the disability community to test the new machines while it was the vending machine at the Bolivar. And so we've received lots of comments and have made some modifications in regard to the sequence of events that occur when you use the touchpad, which is designed for ADA. If there are problems with somebody who is unable to operate the push pad, the new pad that's designed for ADA, if people could please send those comments and concerns to the address that I believe I just posted in there, myconcerns@bystatedev.org. That's the last post in the chat. We want to keep collecting input on there, but we have been working with our ADA disability community or disability task force on that. And so if there are problems beyond those that we've studied so far or heard about, please send those to the My Concerns website as well.
Great. Thank you, Tom. I know we have a few minutes left and I have quite a few more questions, so I'm going to try to get to these as quickly as possible. So, what about bus stops? Ron, I think this one goes to you. What is being done to look at the region's bus stops? And this is something near and dear to our hearts with our bus bench placemaking program at CMT, but what is Metro doing to address bus stops?
Well, something near and dear to our hearts too, and minds especially. Look, we understand that bus stops, that's our customers' first impression of Metro Transit. And so we know that there's room for improvement. I'm out there in the system riding, and I'm seeing things that are quite frankly unacceptable. And so I've gotten with my team and said, look, we need to be very intentional about addressing our bus stop issues. And so we're focusing on upgrading, resources are limited, so we have to prioritize. Our priority is making sure we're focusing on the critical ADA locations. We're focusing on transfer points and improving stops serving highest ridership and most vulnerable populations. So those are our priorities. We're working with you all at CMT to place benches in certain areas. We're expecting that with the work that we're doing now, that our customers will see an expansion of benches and shelters over the coming months. So we know we have a lot of work to do. We encourage our customers to report specific locations that need attention. And we've received a few reports in the last couple of weeks, and we were able to address those immediately. So if you see something out there, you have some recommendations about it, let us know about it. Call our customer service and our team will get on it.
Great. Thank you, Ron. And I think there's more than 40 bus stops in the works in Illinois as well, with upgrades in the works with a partnership with you guys. So I think that's exciting as well. But what we're telling riders is if there's a bus stop that you feel needs some additional love, to email us. And so we can either pass it on to Metro or include it in our bus bench placemaking program, at least to start the initial investment around that bus stop.
Yeah, we actually have about 40 bus stop locations in St. Louis County that we're currently looking to make some improvements.
Great, thank you. So this topic comes up over and over again. So Kevin, it goes a little bit back to, what does enforcement look like of people who are with nuisance behavior? Litter, smoke, we've already talked about smoking, loud music. Any additional thoughts on that before we wrap up today?
Yeah, so certainly if things rise to a misdemeanor criminal engagement, obviously law enforcement will issue citations and remove people from the system. In many circumstances relative to overall security, it is removal from the system or having them removed from the system that day. We also have an administrative suspension policy or protocols in place that we've put people on to kind of bar them from the system, either temporarily or in some cases permanently. But it is, in my estimation, it is much visibility with security on the different, if you're talking specifically about the trains, on the trains as possible. And so what I'm really working to do is increase through the transition of a more autonomous SPP project, transition a lot of that visibility back over to the riding and the engagement on those trains themselves. But the enforcement citations, obviously relative to criminal littering, other types of misdemeanor type offenses, law enforcement certainly would be there to issue those citations and remove people from the system. Usually security is always there first. As a matter of fact, our security teams, we deal with about 90% of the overall incident before law enforcement would come in. It's just how we're structured. We just deal with the majority of it. And so we coordinate with law enforcement. We converse with them basically daily on any hotspots that we would have relative to code of conduct enforcement or other concerns relative to criminal incidents or behavior. But it is a chess game that we play all the time, and it's not systematic on a daily basis. We have to stay fluid. It's like hotspot policing and or the broken windows theory, right? I mean, you move where the issues are. And so the other thing that's complemented how we do business, Kim, is our camera center, because now we have a real live viewing on a 24/7 basis of the system. We have the system zoned. Some of you may be asking, well, how can you watch 2,000 cameras? Well, we don't watch 2,000 cameras at one time. That would be impossible. But we do have the system zoned relative to the Metrolink alignment. We do spot checks with live feeds into our buses and our trains. And our staff that man the real-time camera center, they're responsible for specific zones that they maneuver the cameras through. And so all of these things in conjunction, we try to do we try to build as much of a mitigating security buffer around the system as possible. So we will continue to add security guards on the trains. We will continue to add security guards at our transit centers to mitigate some of this nuisance behavior that we've seen.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. So a quick question. What is the best process for riders to provide feedback or voice their opinions about the new fare system or the gating system? What's the best way for them to get that information to Metro Transit?
I would recommend that if they have access to the web, that they go to metrostlouis.org /nextgen fare. That is the place where we're trying to collect all the information and public comments that come in from the public in regard to the fare system also receive a code. And so we're able to look at those through an internal system that will assemble all of those comments related to fare collection. But if you want to just send in a comment, I think NextGen Fare's website is a place to do it. And that, again, is, let's see, probably the fourth or so link in the chat that you see, or fourth comment in the chat from today.
And I think Travis just posted it again. So thank you very much, Travis. Okay, so I think we're at the end of our hour, and as everyone can tell, there are still tons of questions out there. So we're going to keep collecting questions from riders and stakeholders, get the answers from Metro, and we will continue to post those on our website and social media as we get them and receive them and push them back out. It's really important, we think, that everyone have as much information as possible as we go through this transition with regards to the Metrolink system and gating, as well as the new fare system for all riders on both sides of the river. But I always like to hear final thoughts from each of our panelists today. What is one takeaway that you want the riding public to know as a part of this candid conversation, your leave behind about what's happening or the best way for them to get in touch with you? Anyone want to jump in first?
Yeah,
I would say, go ahead, Ron.
I was going to say, I'll jump in and get it out of the way, but I want them to
Okay,
know
Ron.
how important sharing their feedback is, right? And thank them for riding. And if they don't ride, thank them for being interested in the conversation, because all of these comments help us to improve. So, we know we have a lot of work to do, but we appreciate your patience as we're making these improvements. And, our goal really is to earn everyone's trust. So, feedback, that's what we need.
Great. Thank you, Ron. Tom, do you want to jump in now?
I would echo what Ron just said. And let everybody know, during this transition, we will have security guards and ambassadors out in the system. We know this is a big change. We don't want anybody to feel like they're going it alone here. So please feel free to ask our ambassadors and security guards for assistance in this transition. Thank you.
And so before we jump to Kevin, just to be very clear, ride-on cards will be reusable, reloadable, and you're paying through the system. So you can use it for 7 days, you can use it for 30 days. Do you want to touch on very quickly, Tom, before we jump to Kevin, if you hit a certain level on your card, it won't charge you anymore? Fare
So
capping?
in terms of fare capping, it's probably better addressed by other people that are more knowledgeable about that product or that ability. But that is the plan. And for account-based ticketing, even if you're using our mobile app, it should be keeping track of your expenditures within a period of time, and you should be able to benefit from that fare capping on the system if you are registered, and if you're paying attention to your account, you should be able to see that. The other thing I would say is, the cards are very reloadable. They're also very durable. I've washed a couple of cards accidentally through the laundry and made it through the dry cycle, and they still work. So these are pretty tough cards, and so I really want people to know that you do not have to buy a new card every month. Please feel free to reuse your card. They're quite durable and they'll last for a long time. You can reload it, and it's just the easiest way to keep using it. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Tom. Kevin, final thoughts today.
Sure. So what I'd like everybody to know is, and most of you probably are aware, that the SPP project to include the integration of fare collection has been a major undertaking. It is something that has not often been done anywhere else in the industry. And what's made it unique here is that in order to achieve enhanced perimeter security relative to a gating system, we had to, and we would have anyway, gone through the project of upgrading all of our fare technology in order to do that, because you have to have a system that will communicate with your gates. Prior to the movement on the fare side, we did not have a system that had any ability to communicate with any of the gating systems that were out there. And so while it's true on some properties in some areas of the country, they have put in gating systems, the anomaly is that we've had to also upgrade our entire fare collection system also to make that work. And that, again, needed to be done anyway. But our philosophy relative to our overall public safety, both on the safety and the security side, is to build as much of a buffer, an enhanced security buffer around our product as we can. We operate within these communities and these environments where there are challenges. We see it every single day. We're not immune to those same challenges or those same behaviors, but from a security standpoint and overall security philosophy, it is making it as difficult as possible for someone to act or violate a policy and or a law within our purview. And when you talk about SPP, and we're focused on the gates and how the gates are working, I want to go back to the efforts that have been made through our closed circuit television technology and our camera center, and really switching that type of force multiplier into a proactive posture. We have a relationship with many law enforcement agencies throughout the region where we work with them, and they can request footage relative to things that they're either investigating relative to us and or not to us, and we get that a lot. So these investments that are being made relative to the things that we're doing here as far as these overall technology enhancements don't just impact the public transportation system, but they impact public safety region-wide.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your comments today. Thank you for all of your questions to those who have joined us today and those who submitted online. We really appreciate it. And we will be continuing this conversation because we know that this is a big change and there's lots of little bitty details, and we want to have as much information as we can get back to our members and riders as possible to make the change as easy as possible so that we all can get on board and ride public transit. So thank you to our panel, Kevin, Tom, and Ron. We really appreciate your help this afternoon. And thank you to everyone who joined us. A recording of this will be available either later this afternoon or by tomorrow morning on CMT's YouTube channel. Also, these efforts we will be continuing ongoing. If you're interested in helping watch the system, we do have our Metro Monitor program. A link to that was placed in the chat box as well. But also check out our social channels. We're going to be talking about upcoming work and so much more. And if you're not a member of Citizens for Modern Transit, please consider joining us in our mission and help us make transit better each day in the St. Louis region. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you for having us.